Daily Mastery. Outpacing the ordinary through lifelong learning. Introduction. Ignite your potential. The unyielding path to excellence. In a world that never pauses, where opportunities vanish as swiftly as they appear, true success demands more than mere survival. It requires relentless advancement. Picture this. While countless individuals drift through life, tethered to routines that yield mediocrity, you stand poised to seize control. This isn't about innate genius or fleeting luck. It's about forging an unbreakable commitment to growth. Every sunrise offers a fresh battleground, and those who emerge victorious are the ones who arm themselves with knowledge, sharpen their minds, and evolve without cease. Forget the illusion of stability. Stagnation is the silent thief of dreams. The individuals who dominate their fields aren't blessed with extraordinary gifts. They cultivate them through deliberate daily action. They don't wait for inspiration. They ignite it. This book isn't a passive guide. It's a blueprint for transformation. Within these pages, you'll discover strategies to harness the power of continuous education, turning ordinary moments into extraordinary achievements. Whether you're climbing the corporate ladder, building a personal empire, or simply striving to become the best version of yourself, the journey begins now. Embrace the mindset that learning isn't optional. It's your weapon against obscurity. By the end, you'll possess the tools to not just keep pace, but to surge ahead, leaving the masses in your wake. Let's embark on this odyssey of self-mastery. Chapter 1. The harsh reality. Growth or decay. The learner's imperative. The world rewards the learners and punishes the stagnant. You are either growing or you're dying. That's the brutal truth nobody wants to tell you. Life does not reward those who sit still, who wait for things to happen, who rely on their past achievements to carry them forward. No, the world belongs to those who adapt, who evolve, who never stop learning. The difference between those who thrive and those who struggle isn't luck, it isn't talent. It's the ability to continuously educate yourself every single day. While the rest of the world chooses comfort over progress, look around. The most successful people in the world, whether they're entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, or leaders, have one thing in common. They never stop learning. They are obsessed with growth, constantly feeding their minds, constantly upgrading their skills. Meanwhile, the average person graduates from school, gets a job, and stops actively learning. They think they've made it, but in reality, they've just started falling behind. They watch the world change around them. New technologies emerge, new industries rise, and they wonder why they're struggling to keep up. The truth is, the world doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care if you don't have time to learn new skills. It doesn't care if you feel stuck in life. It will simply replace you with someone who is willing to put in the effort, someone who is willing to educate themselves every day, someone who refuses to be left behind. The people who make learning a daily habit become unstoppable. They become the ones who innovate, who create, who succeed, while everyone else is still making excuses. Think about how much the world has changed in just the past decade. 10 years ago, social media was nothing compared to what it is today. AI was a distant concept, something only tech companies cared about. The job market looked completely different. Now AI is taking over industries, new careers are emerging, and people who refuse to adapt are getting left behind. Those who didn't take the time to learn about digital marketing, AI automation, or coding are now struggling to find work. But the ones who stayed ahead, who educated themselves daily, are thriving. The biggest mistake you can make is believing that education ends when school ends. That mindset is the reason why so many people feel stuck. They follow the system, go to school, get a job, work for years, and then wonder why they're unhappy, why they feel lost. It's because they stopped growing. The moment you stop feeding your mind, you start declining. There's no standing still in life. You are either improving or you are falling behind. And falling behind in today's world is not an option. The scary part, most people don't even realize they're falling behind. They wake up, go to work, come home, and mindlessly scroll through social media or binge watch TV shows. They don't read, they don't challenge themselves, they consume entertainment, but never education. And then they wonder why they're stuck in the same place year after year. It's because the world punishes stagnation. It quietly replaces those who refuse to grow. You have two choices. You can continue doing what 99% of people do, wasting time on distractions, refusing to learn, staying in your comfort zone. Or you can make the decision to educate yourself every single day. The choice is simple. The results, however, are life-changing. Imagine where you could be in just 1 year if you committed to learning something new every day. Imagine how much more valuable you would become if you spent just 30 minutes a day improving your skills, expanding your knowledge, and developing your mindset. That's what separates the top 1% from the rest. And let's be real, there is no excuse in today's world. Learning has never been easier. You don't need to sit in a classroom. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars on formal education. Everything you need is at your fingertips. You can read books, listen to podcasts, take online courses, watch educational videos, follow mentors. The resources are endless, but most people don't take advantage of them. Instead, they waste their time on distractions that add nothing to their future. The difference between where you are now and where you want to be isn't talent. It isn't luck. It's how much effort you're willing to put into learning and growing every day. That you choose to educate yourself is making an investment in your future. Every book you read, every skill you develop, every piece of knowledge you absorb, it all compounds over time. And the longer you stay committed to growth, the further ahead you'll be. Think about the people who inspire you, the ones you admire, whether they are business leaders, athletes, artists, or creators. They all have one thing in common. They never stop learning. They understand that the world belongs to those who evolve. The moment you think you know enough is the moment you begin to decline. The moment you stop educating yourself is the moment the world starts passing you by. So ask yourself, are you moving forward or are you falling behind? Are you making daily progress or are you stuck in the same cycle of mediocrity? If you're not actively learning, if you're not challenging yourself, if you're not feeding your mind, then you're already falling behind. But the good news, you can change that right now. You can decide at this very moment to make learning a priority. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to spend hours studying every day. Even just 30 minutes of focused learning can transform your future. Replace mindless scrolling with reading. Replace background noise with educational podcasts. Replace distractions with skills that will make you valuable. Small, consistent efforts lead to massive results over time. The people who educate themselves daily don't just stay ahead, they create the future. But here's the catch. The world is only getting faster. Technology is advancing, industries are evolving. The demand for new skills is increasing. If you don't keep up, if you don't stay sharp, if you don't commit to learning every single day, you will be left behind. There's no other way to put it. The world rewards those who prepare for the future and punishes those who refuse to adapt. Now the question is, what will you do? Will you stay stagnant, hoping that things will somehow work out? Or will you take control of your future by educating yourself every day? Because make no mistake, the people who are willing to learn, grow, and adapt will dominate the next decade. The ones who refuse will struggle. The choice is yours. Stay stagnant and be left behind, or commit to daily growth and stay ahead of 99% of people. It starts today. It starts with a decision. The decision to pick up a book instead of scrolling. The decision to listen to a podcast instead of wasting time on nonsense. The decision to become the type of person who never stops learning. Because once you commit to that mindset, there is no limit to how far you can go. The world belongs to the learners. The world belongs to those who refuse to be left behind. Which one will you be? Chapter 2. The 24-hour advantage. Maximizing time for unstoppable progress. Every single day, you're faced with a decision whether you realize it or not. The decision to either improve or remain the same. The decision to either sharpen your mind or let it dull over time. The decision to either educate yourself or let the world outgrow you. This is not just about learning for the sake of it. This is about survival in a world that is evolving faster than ever before. Those who understand how to maximize their 24 hours, those who dedicate themselves to consistent knowledge growth, become unstoppable. And those who don't, they wonder why nothing in their life ever changes. Let's be real. The world does not slow down for anyone, it moves forward. And if you're not actively upgrading yourself, you're falling behind. Look at the people at the top of any field: business, sports, entertainment, science. They all have one thing in common: an obsession with learning. They don't just rely on what they learned years ago. They sharpen their skills, expand their minds, and stay ahead of the competition. And that's the key right there, the competition. Because whether you like it or not, life is competitive. Every industry is competitive. Every opportunity is competitive. You are either preparing yourself for success or you're setting yourself up to be replaced by someone who did. The biggest lie people believe is that learning is something you do in school, and once you graduate, you're done. That's why so many people get stuck in the same job for years, never getting a promotion, never increasing their income, never breaking out of the cycle of mediocrity. It's not because they're not capable, it's because they stop feeding their mind, they stop growing. And the moment you stop growing, you start declining. You don't stay in the same place in life. You either get better or you get worse. And the ones who get better, they've mastered the 24-hour knowledge formula. They figured out how to use their time in a way that puts them ahead of 99% of people. Think about this. Every person on this planet has the same 24 hours in a day. The difference between someone who is highly successful and someone who struggles is not luck, not background, not intelligence. It's how they use those 24 hours. You could take two people with the same job, the same resources, and the same opportunities. But one of them will outgrow the other simply because they dedicate time to learning, while one person spends hours watching meaningless content. The other person is reading books, taking online courses, and absorbing knowledge that will make them more valuable. And over time, the gap between these two people becomes massive. If you want to separate yourself from the average, you have to start using your 24 hours differently. And no, I'm not talking about spending 5 hours a day studying. That's unrealistic for most people. What I'm talking about is being intentional with your time. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is not how much time they have, but how they use it. Most people waste hours every day on distractions. So social media, pointless conversations, entertainment, that does nothing for their future. Then they complain that they don't have time to learn, to grow, to develop new skills. But if you look at their daily habits, the truth is clear. They do have time. They just don't use it wisely. The most successful people in the world have a rule. They dedicate a portion of their day every single day to learning something new. It doesn't matter how busy they are. It doesn't matter how many responsibilities they have. They know that if they stop learning, they stop growing. And if they stop growing, they get left behind. This is the formula that keeps them ahead of 99% of people. They don't just consume information randomly. They have a system. And that's exactly what you need. Imagine if you dedicated just 30 minutes a day to intentional learning. That's all it takes. 30 minutes a day doesn't seem like much, but over time it adds up. In a year, that's over 180 hours of education. Now ask yourself, what would happen if you spent 180 hours learning a high-income skill? What would happen if you spent 180 hours studying the psychology of success, mastering communication, or understanding financial growth? The answer is simple. Your life would change. Your opportunities would increase. Your income would rise. Your confidence would skyrocket. But it all starts with how you use your time. Here's the thing. Most people will hear this and still do nothing. They will agree that learning is important. They will feel motivated for a moment, but then they will go back to their old habits. And that is exactly why the majority of people stay average. They don't lack potential, they lack discipline. They lack the ability to stay consistent with their learning. And that is why the top 1% will always dominate. Because while everyone else is making excuses, they are putting in the work. But you're not like most people. You wouldn't be here if you were. You know that you are capable of more, and you're ready to take control of your future. So here's what you need to do right now. Commit to setting aside time every single day for learning. Even if it's just 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even if you start small. The key is consistency over time. This simple habit will compound, and the results will be undeniable. You'll start to notice that your mindset is sharper, your skills are stronger, your opportunities are greater. And while everyone else is wondering why nothing in their life ever changes, you'll be too busy winning to even notice. The truth is, you don't need more time, you just need to use it better. You don't need a special talent. You just need a commitment to growth. The people who are truly successful are not the ones who were born with an advantage. They are the ones who decided every single day to become better than they were yesterday, today. And if you do the same, there's nothing in this world that can stop you. The world belongs to those who learn, those who adapt, those who refuse to settle. The question is, will you be one of them? Chapter 3, Mastering Books. Extracting wisdom without wasting effort. Every single successful person has one thing in common. They read. It's not a coincidence, it's not luck. It's not something they do just because they have extra time. It's a deliberate strategy. Reading is the fastest way to download decades of wisdom, experience, and expertise from the greatest minds in history. Imagine being able to sit down with a billionaire and pick his brain about success. Imagine learning directly from the most powerful leaders, the most brilliant thinkers, the most innovative entrepreneurs. That's what books allow you to do. But here's the problem. Most people read books the wrong way. They spend hours turning pages but retain nothing. They finish a book and go back to their normal life unchanged. And that's why reading alone isn't enough. If you don't know how to extract knowledge, apply it, and use it to level up your life, then reading is just another form of entertainment. The people who get real results from books understand that reading isn't about collecting information. It's about transformation. It's not about how many books you read, but how much you apply. That's why someone who reads 10 books but applies every lesson will always be more successful than someone who reads 100 books but does nothing with them. The key is to approach reading like a weapon. Every book you pick up should be treated as a tool to upgrade your mind, sharpen your skills, and give you an advantage in life. That's how the top 1% read. They don't just consume books, they extract value from them. They make the ideas their own, and they use them to change their reality. If you've ever struggled with reading, if you've ever felt like books don't make a difference in your life, it's not because reading doesn't work. It's because you've never been taught how to read properly. You were taught to read for information, but not for action. You were taught to finish books, but not to absorb them. That stops today. Because once you learn how to read in a way that actually improves your life, you will never go back to the old way. You will start seeing books as a secret weapon, a way to get ahead of 99% of people while they waste time on things that don't matter. The first thing you need to understand is that not all books deserve your time. Just because a book is popular doesn't mean it's valuable. Just because a book is well written doesn't mean it's worth reading. The key is to be selective. The most successful people in the world don't waste time reading books that don't serve them. They focus on books that solve real problems, books that help them improve their skills, books that provide a roadmap to success. Before you start any book, ask yourself one question. How will this book improve my life? If you can't answer that, you're probably reading the wrong book. Now, once you find the right book, the next step is to approach it with the right mindset. Too many people read passively. They turn pages, they highlight sentences, but they don't actively engage with the material. That's why they forget everything they read. The only way to make a book truly valuable is to interact with it. Write in the margins, take notes, question the ideas, challenge the author. The goal is not just to read the book, but to wrestle with the ideas inside it. That's how you make the knowledge stick. That's how you internalize the lessons and turn them into something you can actually use. Another mistake people make is trying to read too fast. There's a myth that the more books you read, the smarter you become. That's not true. Intelligence is not about how much information you consume. It's about how much you understand and apply. If you speed through books just to finish them, you're missing a point. A single book read deeply and applied correctly can change your life more than 100 books read superficially. The key is to slow down and focus on mastery instead of trying to finish a book as quickly as possible. Try to extract every valuable insight from it. Treat each book like a training manual for your mind. Read it with the intention of changing the way you think and act. One of the most powerful strategies for retaining what you read is to teach it to someone else. The best way to learn something is to explain it. After you finish a chapter, try summarizing the main ideas in your own words. Imagine you had to teach the concept to a friend. This forces you to process the information deeply and make it your own. If you can't explain what you just read, you don't truly understand it. That's why the best learners are also the best teachers. They don't just consume information. They actively use it, discuss it, and share it with others. But here's where most people fail. They read, they take notes, they get excited about new ideas, and then they do nothing. This is the biggest trap. If you read a book but don't apply what you learned, you just wasted your time. Knowledge without action is useless. If a book teaches you a new way to manage your time, apply it immediately. If it teaches you a strategy for making money, put it into practice. Chapter 4. Audio enlightenment, podcasts and audiobooks as your portable academy. Every single day, you're surrounded by an opportunity that most people ignore. An opportunity that could completely change the way you think, the way you learn, and ultimately the way you succeed. It's not locked away in some expensive course. It's not reserved for the ultra-rich or the highly educated. It's something you already have access to, but you're probably not using it to its full potential. It's your time, more specifically, the hidden hours of your day. The hours when you're commuting, when you're doing chores, when you're walking, exercising, or simply waiting for something. These are the moments when most people let their minds drift, wasting precious time on distractions, on pointless noise, on things that add nothing to their future. But the people who stay ahead, they turn these moments into their secret weapon. They use these pockets of time to educate themselves, to sharpen their minds, to absorb powerful ideas that give them an edge in life. And one of the best ways to do this, podcasts and audiobooks. You have to understand something. The way people learn has changed. It's no longer just about sitting down with a book or attending class. We now live in a world where knowledge is everywhere, where you can access the insights of billionaires, the strategies of top performers, the mindset of the most successful people, all with the tap of a button. You can literally carry a world-class education in your pocket. And yet most people still don't take advantage of it. They waste hours scrolling through social media, watching meaningless content, listening to music that doesn't add value to their lives. And then they wonder why they're not growing, why they're stuck, why nothing is changing. The reality is simple. If you are not intentionally feeding your mind with powerful knowledge, you are falling behind. Imagine this. Every single day, you wake up knowing that no matter where you go, no matter what you're doing, you're learning, you're growing, you're upgrading your thinking. While other people spend their morning listening to the same songs they've heard 100 times, you're absorbing life-changing insights from the greatest minds in history. While they waste time gossiping, you're studying the habits of high achievers. While they sit in traffic complaining about their job, you're learning the skills that will get you out of that job and into something better. This is the difference between those who stay stuck and those who rise. It's not about intelligence. It's not about luck. It's about how you use your time. Now, some people will say, I don't have time to read books. I'm too busy to sit down and study. But that excuse doesn't work anymore, because with podcasts and audiobooks, you don't need to set aside extra time to learn. You can integrate learning into your daily routine. You can learn while driving, while cooking, while working out, while doing anything that doesn't require full mental focus. And that's what makes this so powerful. It eliminates the excuse of I don't have time and replaces it with a simple question. Are you using your time wisely? Because if you are not learning every single day, it's not a time problem. It's a priority problem. The best part, you get access to knowledge that was once impossible to reach. Think about it. A few decades ago, if you wanted to learn from a billionaire, you had to somehow meet one in person. Good luck with that. If you wanted to understand the mindset of elite performers, you had to be in the right circles, have the right connection. But today you can plug in your earphones and learn directly from them. You can hear their thoughts, their strategies, their experiences, as if they were mentoring. You personally, you don't need to be in the same room. You don't need to be rich. You just need the willingness to listen. And that's where the real shift happens. The moment you start replacing low-value content with high-value learning, everything changes. Your mindset changes, your decisions change, your confidence grows, because suddenly you're not just consuming random entertainment. You're absorbing the mindset of winners. You're training your brain to think like a high performer. And over time, that rewires you completely. You start seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. You start thinking strategically instead of reacting emotionally. You start becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts success because your mind has been shaped by success. Now, here's the key. It's not enough to just listen. Listening alone won't change your life. Just like reading a book, without applying it won't make you smarter. The real impact comes when you take what you learn and act on it. Actually use it. So every time you listen to a powerful podcast or an audiobook, don't just let it go in one ear and out the other. Take notes. Write down key insights. Ask yourself, how can I use this today? Because the difference between those who grow and those who stay the same is not just what they consume, it's what they implement. Imagine if every single week you listen to just one audiobook. That's 52 books a year. Do you know how much knowledge that is? Do you know how much wisdom you would have compared to the average person? Imagine if every morning, instead of listening to music or the news, you listen to 30 minutes of a life-changing podcast. That's over 180 hours of learning every year without spending a single extra second of your time. If you do this consistently, within a year, you will be unrecognizable. Your thinking will be sharper, your skills will be stronger, your perspective will be completely transformed. And that's exactly why the people at the top stay at the top. They don't just consume entertainment, they consume knowledge. They don't just listen to noise, they listen to wisdom. They know that the mind is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. And the people who train their minds every single day, they become unstoppable. Right now you have a choice. You can keep doing what you've always done, wasting hours on distractions, letting your mind be filled with whatever the world throws at you. Or you can take control. You can decide that from this moment on, every spare minute you have will be dedicated to growth. You can turn your daily routine into a learning machine. You can make your car, your home, your gym, your commute, your personal university. And once you do that, you will never go back because the results will speak for themselves. You will start thinking differently, moving differently, operating at a level that most people can't even comprehend. The people who win in life are not the ones who have the most resources. They're the ones who make the best use of what they have. And right now you have unlimited access to knowledge. You have the ability to learn from the best minds on the planet anytime, anywhere. The question is, are you using it? Are you taking advantage of the greatest educational tool in history? Or are you letting it slip away while you waste time on things that don't matter? Because the truth is, the difference between those who succeed and those who struggle is not luck. It's not talent. It's how they spend their time. And if you start using your time wisely, if you start filling your mind with powerful knowledge every single day, then success is not a matter of if. It's only a matter of when. Chapter 5. Digital Arsenal, YouTube, and online courses unleashed. Success isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you build brick by brick, habit by habit, choice by choice. And in today's world, the difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck isn't just about hard work. It's about how smart you are with your learning. Every skill you need, every advantage you want, every single tool that can elevate your life is already available. The real question is, are you using it the right way? Because in this era, information is everywhere. But most people are drowning in it instead of mastering it. Right now, you can go on YouTube and find tutorials on almost anything. You can learn to code, build a business, master marketing, get in shape, develop leadership skills, or even understand psychology, all for free. But here's the brutal truth. Just because information is available doesn't mean people are using it correctly. The majority are stuck in an endless loop of consuming, watching, scrolling, and feeling like they're learning, but never actually growing. They tell themselves, I'm gathering information. But in reality, they're stuck in passive learning. They collect knowledge like trophies, but they never step into action. And that's exactly why they don't move forward. If you're watching endless videos, taking courses, reading books, but not seeing real results in your life, then you need to understand something critical. Learning is not about how much you consume. It's about how much you apply. You don't need another course. You don't need another 10-hour video breakdown. What you need is execution. The people who get ahead aren't the ones who know the most. They're the ones who do the most with what they know. They don't waste time watching every single tutorial on success. They take what they learn and immediately put it into action. Imagine someone who wants to start a business but keeps watching videos on how to start a business for months. They take notes, analyze trends, compare strategies, but they never actually take the first step. Then there's another person who watches one solid video, takes a few key lessons, and immediately starts testing, failing, adjusting, and improving a year later. The first person is still getting ready, while the second person has already built something. That's the difference between those who win and those who stay stuck. Action beats endless preparation every single time. YouTube and online courses can be powerful tools, but only if you know how to use them the right way. The problem is, most people treat learning like entertainment. They click on one video, then another, chasing that temporary dopamine hit of feeling productive without actually doing anything. They trick themselves into thinking that watching successful people will somehow make them successful. But success isn't contagious. It's earned through effort. Watching someone else do something won't give you results. You have to step in and do it yourself. So how do you break out of this cycle? How do you stop wasting time and start using online learning as a real tool for transformation? First, you need to set a rule for yourself. For every piece of content you consume, you must take action on at least one thing. If you watch a video on improving focus, apply one technique that same day. If you take a course on sales, implement what you learn in a real conversation. If you read about building confidence, practice it in a social setting. Don't wait. Don't overthink. Just act. Because the moment you start applying knowledge, that's when it truly becomes yours. Next, you have to cut out the noise. Not all content is created equal. There's a massive difference between watching something that actually teaches you a skill and watching something that just makes you feel inspired for a few minutes. Motivation is great, but it fades. Skills and habits stay with you. So instead of jumping from one video to the next, choose wisely. Follow content that gives you direct, practical steps, not just vague advice. If a video doesn't teach you something you can immediately use, skip it. Be ruthless with your time. Because every second you waste on content that doesn't serve you is a second you could have spent building your future. Another powerful strategy is learning in cycles. Instead of constantly consuming new information, go back and review what you've already learned. Repetition is the key to mastery. Most people forget 90% of what they watch or read within a few days because they never revisit it. But the top performers, they don't just learn something once and move on. They study it, they practice it, they refine it until it becomes second nature. If you want to get ahead, don't just learn, obsess over mastery. Go deep instead of wide. It's better to deeply understand and apply a few critical skills than to have surface-level knowledge of everything. And here's something most people don't realize. Success is not about knowing the most, it's about knowing the right things. In a world overloaded with information, your ability to filter out what actually matters is one of the most valuable skills you can have. The truth is, you don't need to learn everything. You just need to learn what will move the needle in your life. If you want to be financially free, study money and business, not random entertainment. If you want to be in top physical shape, study nutrition and exercise, not endless fitness trends. If you want to build confidence, study communication and psychology, not feel-good motivational speeches that don't give you real techniques. At the end of the day, online learning is like a weapon. It can be the greatest tool you've ever had, or it can be the biggest distraction keeping you stuck. The difference comes down to how you use it. The people who stay ahead don't just consume, they create, they don't just learn, they implement, they don't just plan, they execute. And if you make the decision today to stop passively consuming and start actively applying, your entire trajectory will change. You won't just be another person who knows a lot, you'll be one of the few who actually does something with it. Every single minute you spend watching, reading, or studying without applying is time wasted. But every single minute you spend learning and immediately taking action is an investment in your future. So the next time you catch yourself stuck in another endless loop of tutorials, courses, or motivational videos, stop, ask yourself, what's the one thing I can take from this and use right now? Then do it. Because the moment you shift from just learning to actually doing, that's when everything in your life will start to transform. Chapter 6, Essential Edges, the 5 skills that forge invincibility. Your success is directly tied to the skills you develop. In a world that's changing faster than ever, the people who win are the ones who master high-value skills, skills that will always be in demand, no matter how much technology advances or industries shift. If you want to stay ahead, you can't rely on what you learned in school. You can't sit back and hope that your current knowledge will be enough. The world doesn't reward people for what they used to know. It rewards those who can adapt, learn, and execute better than anyone else. Look around and you'll see it happening everywhere. The people who thrive aren't necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They're the ones who understand what the market values. They focus on skills that make them indispensable. They know that job security doesn't come from a degree or a title. It comes from being the kind of person that businesses, clients, and customers can't afford to ignore. If you have skills that solve problems, make money, or create opportunities, you will always be ahead. If you don't, you'll always be struggling to catch up. Think about the people who struggle financially or feel stuck in life. It's not because they aren't working hard. It's because they haven't developed the right skills. Hard work alone isn't enough anymore. You could work 16-hour days doing something that isn't valuable, and it still wouldn't move you forward. The market doesn't pay for effort, it pays for results. And results come from mastering the right skills. The good news, you can start developing these skills today. You don't need a fancy education, you don't need connections. You just need to make the decision to level up and commit to the process of learning, practicing, and applying what actually matters. One of the most powerful skills you can have is communication. No matter what industry you're in, no matter what career path you choose, your ability to communicate effectively will determine how far you go. This isn't just about public speaking. It's about how well you sell your ideas, how well you persuade, how well you build relationships, how well you negotiate, and how well you lead. The people who make the most money, close the biggest deals, and create the biggest impact are always the best. Communicators. If you can speak with confidence, write with clarity, and influence people with your words, you will always have an advantage. Another high-value skill that separates the winners from everyone else is sales. And don't make the mistake of thinking sales only applies to people in business. Sales is everything. Whether you're convincing someone to hire you, negotiating a better salary, pitching an idea, attracting customers, or even persuading someone to see your point of view, you're selling. The ability to sell is the ability to control your own future. If you can sell, you will never be broke. If you can't, you'll always be dependent on someone else to give you opportunities. Then there's problem solving. The people who rise to the top in any industry are the ones who can think critically, adapt to challenges, and come up with solutions when no one else can. Businesses don't pay for people who just follow orders. They pay for people who can solve real problems. The better you are at analyzing situations, finding solutions, and making smart decisions, the more valuable you become. And in today's world, digital skills are non-negotiable. AI, automation, and technology are changing everything. The people who understand how to leverage digital tools, analyze data, and use technology to their advantage will always be ahead, whether it's coding, digital marketing, content creation, or data analysis. Having strong digital skills means you're future-proofing yourself. You don't have to be an expert in everything, but you do need to be comfortable using technology to create value. Then there's leadership, the ability to take initiative, inspire people, and make things happen. Leadership isn't just for managers or CEOs. If you can take responsibility, guide people, and make tough decisions, you become the kind of person that others want to follow. Leaders don't wait for permission. They don't sit around hoping for things to change. They take action. They create opportunities. They bring out the best in themselves and the people around them. That's why leadership is one of the most in-demand skills in every industry. So the question isn't whether you should develop these skills. The question is, are you willing to put in the time and effort to master them? Because here's the truth, most people won't. Most people will keep doing what's comfortable. They'll keep telling themselves they don't have time, that it's too hard, or that they don't know where to start. And that's exactly why most people stay stuck. They never make the decision to level up. But if you're serious about getting ahead, you need to do what others won't. You need to invest in yourself. You need to commit to learning something valuable every single day, and more importantly, applying it. The world rewards those who can bring value. And value comes from mastering skills that solve problems, generate results, and make an impact. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You don't have to be naturally gifted. You just have to be relentless in your pursuit of growth. Because the people who get ahead are the ones who take control of their learning, take action on what they learn, and refuse to settle for being average. Chapter 7. Digital and AI Literacy. Armoring yourself against tomorrow's storms. In an era where technology evolves at breakneck speed, digital fluency and AI proficiency aren't mere perks. They're essential fortifications against irrelevance. The digital landscape isn't a distant frontier. It's the battlefield where careers are won or lost. Those who grasp AI's mechanics and digital tools gain an unassailable edge, turning potential threats into powerful allies. Imagine wielding algorithms that predict market shifts or automate mundane tasks, freeing your mind for innovation. Yet most remain novices, bewildered by chatbots or data dashboards, while the savvy harness them to amplify productivity and foresight. Consider AI's infiltration. From Netflix's recommendation engines to self-driving vehicles, it's reshaping industries. In healthcare, AI diagnoses diseases with uncanny accuracy. In finance, it detects fraud in real time. An interesting point, emerging trends like generative AI, think tools like ChatGPT, are democratizing creativity. Artists use them to brainstorm ideas, writers to refine drafts, and entrepreneurs to simulate business scenarios. But beware the pitfalls, ethical dilemmas, such as AI bias in hiring algorithms, demand vigilance. Future-proofing means not just learning basics, but experimenting. Try AI apps for personal tasks, like optimizing your schedule or analyzing fitness data. Integrate this literacy into your routine. Dedicate weekly sessions to online courses on platforms like Coursera or edX. By mastering digital dexterity, you'll not only survive disruptions, but thrive, positioning yourself as a visionary in a world of followers. The question looms, will you adapt or be eclipsed? Chapter 8. From Consumption to Conquest. Bridging knowledge and action. Knowledge hoarded is power squandered. True transformation demands application, not accumulation. In our information-saturated world, countless souls amass facts like trophies, yet their lives remain unaltered. The chasm between the informed and the empowered lies in execution, turning insights into habits, theories into triumphs. Reflect on this. You've likely devoured motivational content, only for enthusiasm to wane amid daily grind. That's passive intake at work. Active application rewires your reality. An interesting point, psychological research, such as Carol Dweck's growth mindset studies, reveals that doers outperform knowers by embracing failure as feedback. Take the story of J.K. Rowling, who applied relentless writing habits despite rejections, birthing Harry Potter. Or consider athletes like Michael Jordan, who didn't just study plays, but drilled them into muscle memory. To shift gears, start small. After absorbing a lesson, implement it immediately. Read a time management tip? Restructure your day today. Track progress in a journal, noting wins and tweaks. This iterative process builds resilience, turning abstract wisdom into tangible results. Discipline is key. Set daily rituals to apply one insight, avoiding the trap of endless scrolling. Remember action compounds. A single applied idea can cascade into life-altering change. The world honors doers, the innovators, builders, and achievers. Stop consuming, start conquering. Your future self will thank you. Chapter 9. The 1% Notebook. Your vault for enduring wisdom. Amid the deluge of data, retention is the linchpin of progress. A fleeting aha moment fades without a system to anchor it, rendering learning ephemeral. Enter the 1% Notebook, a strategic archive where insights evolve into actionable assets. This isn't casual scribbling. It's a deliberate framework to capture, review, and deploy knowledge, ensuring it fuels your ascent rather than collecting dust. An interesting point, drawing from cognitive science, spaced repetition, like apps such as Anki, enhances memory by up to 200%. Visionaries like Benjamin Franklin used journals to refine ideas, leading to inventions and philosophies. Modernize this. Use digital tools like Evernote or Notion for searchable, tagged entries. Categorize by themes, e.g., leadership or productivity, and link related concepts. Structure each entry with prompts, key insight, how to apply, and reflection after use. Review weekly, not just to recall, but to adapt. Did a strategy work in your career? Refine it over time. This notebook becomes your personal oracle, transforming passive learning into proactive mastery. Commit to it daily. Even 5 minutes of curation compounds into genius. The elite, don't forget, they build legacies on retained wisdom. Embrace this tool and watch your potential unlock. Chapter 10. Thinking critically. Avoiding misinformation and bad advice. The world overflows with chaos, endless opinions, twisted half-truths, and headlines designed to manipulate your beliefs. Most people blindly swallow what they hear, never pausing to ask, is this real? Does it truly help? It's so simple to drown in this storm of information. But here's your secret weapon: critical thinking. It's the key to soaring above the madness. If you don't master thinking for yourself, you'll forever struggle to spot the gold among the garbage. You'll miss the difference between wisdom that lifts you up and distractions that drag you down. What truly sets winners apart from the crowd isn't raw talent, dumb luck, or fancy connections. It's the power of critical thinking. It's the ability to hit pause, reflect deeply, and act based on solid logic and reason, not rash impulses or the crowd's roar. This skill isn't some distant dream. It's a practical superpower you can build right now. It's about slicing through the noise of news articles, spotting flawed arguments and chats, and questioning every piece of advice that crosses your path. It's digging beneath the surface to uncover the real. Why behind what you told? Who stands to gain? What's hidden in the shadows? What other angles exist? In our noisy world, misinformation lurks everywhere, ready to trap the unwary. It's effortless to fall for lies if you don't sharpen your questioning habit. Think about it. How often have you believed a story that crumbled under scrutiny? How many clickbait titles have lured you in, only to deliver empty hype? Our brains are wired to cling to ideas that match our views or feel comforting. But critical thinking shatters that trap. It urges you to step back, weigh the evidence, and choose wisely. Reject the shallow buzz and unearth what really counts. That's how you escape the cycle of being misled and start thriving. The real issue? Too many people accept everything at face value, cruising through life convinced they know it all. But the instant you stop questioning, you halt your growth. If you can't challenge your own assumptions, how will you ever forge ahead? How will you make choices that propel you? The moment you start doubting everything, from the how to self-help gurus tips to the latest news spin or even your buddy's chatter, you ignite a path to unstoppable success. So, how do you unleash this power? Build the habit. Question relentlessly. For every word you read, hear, or see, probe. What's the source? What's their hidden motive? What might they be hiding? What fresh viewpoints are out there? This is where the masses stumble. They skip seeking alternatives, ignoring the deeper forces shaping the info. If you crave the edge, if you want to dominate the 99% lost in mindless consumption, you must evaluate and challenge every input. But push further. Learn to split fact from fiction. Facts stand firm, backed by proof and solid data. Opinions? They're personal, swayed by biases, feelings, or sneaky agendas. In our digital jungle, it's a minefield. Social feeds, outlets, and influencers blend them seamlessly to push their agendas. Critical thinking arms you to spot the real deal versus someone's skewed take. Armed with this clarity, your decisions become sharper, free from others' clouded lenses. One vital piece? Spotting cognitive biases. Those sneaky mental shortcuts that lead to dumb choices. Confirmation bias, for instance, makes you hunt only for info that matches your beliefs. If you've ever nodded along just because it felt right, you've been bitten. Critical thinking exposes these traps, helping you dodge emotional pulls or old baggage. It lets you zoom out for the full picture. That's why evaluating every lesson is non-negotiable. Critical thinking doesn't just appear. You forge it through deliberate practice. Skepticism, deep dives, and smart questions make it stronger with every use. It's your ultimate tool in this info-glutted era, cutting through the fog to reveal smarter paths in every life area. Beyond that, it frees you from herd mentality. Trends and opinions sweep people away just because everyone's doing it. But real growth demands your unique voice. Stop echoing the masses. Start trusting your own judgment. When you think independently and weigh info on your terms, you're no longer a puppet to external forces. You command your destiny, your choices, beliefs, and future. Critical thinking also unmasks hype in a world of flashy scams. Miracle diets, get-rich-quick schemes, or overhyped self-improvement fads. They prey on your attention. With this skill, you see past the glitter, testing if promises deliver real value. And here's the game changer. Mastering critical thinking unlocks limitless learning. No more relying on one viewpoint. You hunt multiple angles. You absorb wisdom from mentors, tomes, podcasts, and your own trials with razor-sharp awareness that most lack. This transforms you from passive sponge to active architect of your fate. Critical thinking is your ultimate edge, the divider between achievers and the lost. If you aim to seize control, to always stay one step ahead, cultivate this habit fiercely. Reject blind acceptance. Question, analyze, and act on your insights. Once you conquer it, you'll navigate with unshakable confidence, clarity, and purpose. And that's when you truly outpace the 99%.